brief introduction, not the one I like wrote on the agenda, okay? But for you, okay, the introduction. Well, it's part of the introduction, but I'll be brief. First, I want to make sure you understand, okay, what I'm going to present today and next Monday is not just about velocity. It's about how to use Cascade. That's the way you should like look at it. Because if you just look at velocity, then people can say, okay, well, you talk about velocity and I'm not interested in velocity. I mean, it's none of my business. I mean, why do I care? But this is not about velocity. Well, not all about velocity. Rather, it's about the best way of using Cascade. Let me put it this way. So it is everybody's business, and including people who don't know velocity, because they don't have to use velocity to like to do at least some part of it.
Okay.
Okay. But to do the whole thing, I would say, I believe, okay, you need to use velocity. But there are so many components, okay, what I call components, in what I'm going to talk about that people can use without using velocity.
Okay.
So that's why I want to insist, okay, this is not all about velocity. So you can even like forget about velocity and still do something that I recommend. Rather, I would say this is all about using Cascade.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, let me give you the demo. That will be the fun part, at least at the beginning. Okay, let me share the screen first. Hey, come on. So you can see my screen, right? Can you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. First, I want to demo. Once I start, you know what I want to talk about. I want to like introduce the macro that I like created in my library. So let me put up a page. Well, doesn't matter. I have two, so I can pull up this page. Right now, there's nothing on the page, okay? And I want to pull up the velocity script. So let me show you how I set up the page first, okay? So if you want to, you can do exactly the same thing. Now, this page is associated with the common asset RWD content type. So there are regions, okay, multiple regions in the page. Okay, this is the page I'm going to use. And there's a region called bottom. So I attached the format to the bottom region. Right now, I'm not using the block, okay? I just like write code in the format so that just to show something, okay? Later on, I will like use the XML content from this block, but not just yet, okay? So let us look at the format. So I want to show you how to like use this like process system page. Well, I need to use the block. I take it back. Okay, I need to use the block. But let us just like do something simple first, okay, to warm up. So let us see content root dot name. Okay, I just want to like show the name of the block to make sure everything is like hooked up. So my point is, I mean, I'm reading the system index block right now. It's the calling page block.
Gotcha.
Okay, so no big deal. Now, I want to call this macro. Okay. So instead of so I call the macro to process the content root, and from this point on, there will be a whole bunch of global variables made available. Okay, so let us just do something like this. Okay, system page display name, for example. I'm just displaying the display name from the page. Okay, so BR. Not the page.
Okay.
One second. System page display name. Did I call the right thing? One second. So asset, common assets, and I'm looking for the variable name. So let us go to format, library, and velocity, global values. Okay, system page display name. This is the variable. Okay, I might have messed up the code this morning because I was like moving code around, and that's why I need to run through this with you. So
Yeah.
if something goes wrong, at least I know. Okay, there's something wrong. I messed up. Okay, process system page, not a page, meaning the system page. I know. Do you know why it doesn't work?
Is it because the two variables are together?
Which two?
There's a break variable.
No, it's not about this line. It's about this line. Remember, the message says, okay, it's not a page. What is content root?
Isn't that the base element?
Exactly. It's not a page element. I need to plug in a page element to call this macro.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I need to do something. Okay, I need the page XML. Otherwise, I don't know. Like,
Gotcha.
I didn't mess up. I don't think I messed up. I just forgot. I need to go to the page first. So right now we are looking at this. Okay, system index block.
Right.
I need to go to system page.
Oh, okay. So the macro requires the
Yeah,
specific element.
it requires a page. Otherwise, I mean, it won't make sense to like to call process page
Oh, I
because I
see.
can call process folder, process symlink, process whatever. Okay, but I have to plug in the right thing. So I will call calling page and then I'll plug in like system page. Okay,
Okay.
so that's the code required. So I'll call get child. I will plug in the calling page, page, and then I'll get child again. And this time I need to plug in system page. You see what I'm doing?
Yes. Yes.
So I need to plug in the page element to call this macro. Otherwise, it won't make sense.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's see. This time it should work. Hopefully. Yep. Okay, that's the display name.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's right above.
It's
Yeah.
right above it. Now, there are a whole bunch of variables already defined. Okay, once I call that macro, let me just pull up the global variable, global values. Okay, when you call system process system page, let me find it first. Where is it? Where is it? System block name, name. Oh, right here. So these variables are all defined once that macro is called.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, page is published. Okay, it will be a Boolean. Okay, so let's try that. Where's my format? What will it print though? I'm not sure. Where's my page? System page is published. this is just the variable name. I forgot the $sign. Yep.
It's okay. It's Monday.
Thank you. Okay. That's the that's that's the page name though. It's not is published. But why? Link dynamic. Oh, I see. It's not defined in the calling page. Probably is defined in this one instead. Yeah. So if I plug in this instead, I will see this is published,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But down here in this system page, there's no is published. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, that's weird.
They are different. They're different. When you call like this system page, you don't see much metadata there. It's published, it's not here. At least that's missing. But up here, you see it, right?
Yep.
So if I switch, then I will see true. Let's do that. Just to make sure we're on the. So if I remove the calling page and directly call system page, then I'm like switching to the upper page. Well, the upper element. Then this will show me true, hopefully. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Now, let me just tell you like how it works, okay? But we need to like do it step by step. So let us like ignore this part for the moment, okay? So let us start from the very beginning, and then we'll come back here, okay, later on. So let me comment this out, and let us start with something simple, okay? And if you want to, you can also like use a test page, a test format, and you write code. So you can like do exactly the same thing and see the same result.
Okay. Let me pull up.
Do you want to set it up? That's
Yeah.
why I asked you to like to set up a page with like a region, and then you can like plug in a format. You can put the format anywhere you want, okay?
Okay. So you're in the common assets site.
No, I'm. You should use the seed site.
Okay.
In the seed site, there should be an index page, and you can use the index page, or you can like make a copy, and then change the content type to RWD, not the RWD1 region. Then you have regions.
Say that last part again. Change it.
Okay. If you go to the seed site, you see the index page, right?
Yes.
The index page is hooked up with RWD1 region. You only have one region there.
Right.
So you need to like make a copy of this page.
Yep.
And then change the content type to RWD only, okay? RWD, 3 letters.
Okay.
Then you see regions.
Right. Oh, okay. Got it.
And then you need to create a format. You can put the format anywhere, okay? You can put it side by side within the page you copied. Doesn't matter where, but you need to hook it up into bottom.
Okay, hold on. And then attach it to
Bottom.
Oh, there's
Okay,
there's a region called bottom.
Yeah, bottom. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see it.
Okay, this is the setup work. Okay, we'll come back here. Let me just like go on with the demo. We'll come back here. Okay, when we come to like 0.7, the basics. Okay. The second demo, I want to like the Costa Rica thing again, but this time I want to just do something simple. Okay. Let me just like recap what we saw before. Well, I am like saying, okay, we saw it before. When you like use a data definition with like type information inside, and then you hook up the data definition with a data definition block, you plug it into a page of my setup, then it will show you, okay, the macro invocation. Okay, do you remember?
Vaguely, yes. Vaguely.
Okay, let us do it. Let us do it. So I'm like going to create a new data definition. Give me 2 words. Any 2 words.
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Okay. Let me just copy something from another. Let's see. Let me pick something simple. Okay, this one. Let me just copy this one. Okay, Costa Rica. And I'm going to like modify the XML in the. So come on, edit. If you want to, you can do the same thing. If you can follow me. Costa Rica. Okay. So I'm plugging the 2 words, okay, Costa Rica into the block type. And I need to call this group, okay, Costa Rica group. And it doesn't matter what else, okay, is in this data definition. Doesn't matter. As long as I have a block type called Costa Rica and a group called Costa Rica group, I should be fine. And I don't even bother, like, well, let's just like change it. Costa Rica. So I have a data definition called Costa Rica, and the type is called Costa Rica, and so on and so forth. And let us like make a block, okay, using this data definition. So I'm going to create a data definition block called Costa Rica. So let us just create a block. And using Costa Rica as the data definition, and I'll call it Costa Rica. Now I'm going to plug this block, okay, into a page and see what happens. So let me recap, okay, before I like do the third step. We created a data definition, and then we created a block out of a data definition. Now the third step, okay, I want to plug that block into a page, okay. So let me plug it into this page. Doesn't matter where, really. Okay. So you see the result of plugging in the block.
Yeah, so it displayed, is that a macro?
Yep, it's a macro invocation. So when you create a data definition with type information, and then you create a block out of it, you attach the block to a block chooser, this macro will be invoked automatically.
Okay.
It's already set up in the system.
Okay.
Okay. Now we'll look at like how this is done, okay, and how to deal with it later. Okay. Let me just like finish the demo. So just keep in mind, okay, when you like look at the data definition block, you will see something like this. Now let us try something like a feed block. Okay. So I'm going to like create a feed block here. Let me just make a copy. Give me a name. Costa
Peter.
Rica or
Peter.
whatever. Peter. Okay. I'll call it Peter feed. Okay. It should end with the suffix feed so that my system will know, okay, what it is.
Gotcha.
Now I'm going to plug this Peter feed, okay, into the page again. So there are plenty of block choosers, so I can plug it into this one. So you see that?
That's cool.
Okay, so whenever you plug in a block into a block chooser, the system will try to figure out, okay, what macro should be invoked to process the block. If it is a text block, then you need to like decide, okay, whether you need to use the suffix text. Well, the clue is this. Well, I would say the best thing is to attach, okay, the type at the end, okay. So if it is a feed block, then do whatever feed. If it is text block, then do whatever text. If it is a definite data definition block, it doesn't matter because the type information will control what will be invoked. But for the other four types, okay, feed, XML, text, and index block, then I mean use the suffix, okay. Use index, feed, text, and XML as a hint, okay, to the system. Then the system will figure out, like at least try to figure out what to do with your block.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we'll come back to this, okay. But if you want to, you can try it with like XML, with text. It will work as long as you like follow the rules.
Okay. And this is using the content type RWD1,
Both,
right?
both.
Both.
RWD one region and RWD both work
Okay.
because they use the same core.
As long as it's using the right format.
Well, we haven't come to format yet.
All right.
Okay, I'm just saying the system will figure out this and then invoke that macro, but we haven't come to like, well, how to like deal with the macro just yet. We'll deal with that later.
Okay.
Okay, just to make sure, okay, we're on the same page. I want to make sure, okay, I'm looking at this page, okay, with like multiple regions. Okay, so like banner, 12 columns, and so on and so forth.
Right.
Okay, but just want to make sure that I'm not lying. Okay, let us start from the index page of my site. Okay, Cascade Admin. Now I want you to make sure. Okay, there's only one region on this page.
Yep. You're like a magician. I'm checking, make sure you have nothing else.
Okay, you pick a folder, any folder. Okay, you decide. Okay, what you want to see. I'll just like check that page and make sure there's only one region on that page.
How to?
How to is not editable because I deprecated this folder. It's already like removed from the system. Well, from the site.
Can we do training?
Training, sure. Let's see. Okay, training. Which page do you want to check, or do you want to go to some subfolder?
Let's try the Java-JSP.
Okay, but there's only one page.
Perfect.
Okay, one region. Pick another page. I just like want you to random to make sure they are all using the same configuration set. Okay, RWD one region, and there's only one region on the page.
How about resources?
Resources. Which resources?
Underneath, like a few.
Oh, this one. Okay,
down.
okay, sure. Come on. Okay.
Okay, one more test.
Okay, go ahead.
Go to properties.
Properties.
In your under edit.
Under.
Or under view.
Okay.
Under
Sure,
view.
sure. Properties. Okay.
Click on the content type and then click on relationships.
Relationship. Sure. Oh, of course. Cascade Admin, CG Head, all the sites, GCH development. Well, how many pages?
Yeah, scroll down to the bottom.
More than 1,000 pages. Most of them are mine.
Okay. Okay. I'm convinced.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, that's the third. The fourth. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, we are on the same page about site configuration. Let me just like go to. Let's say I want to go to Accelerator. Well, I used this page last time, but if you want me to, you can pick another page. But let us just look at this page first. So this site uses the same, one region. But notice, there's a green header and a specific site logo and upstate logo on the right-hand side. This is like site specific.
Gotcha.
Okay. among all the sites, okay, only this site like has this strange green header, okay. So let us like move, not move, okay. I just want to copy this page, okay, so that it's not moved. I want to like copy it and put it into another site, okay. So let me put it in Stroke. Stroke has a default theme. Well, I'll talk about those three themes, okay, in a second. But let me just like make a copy first. So I'm copying the page, okay, to Stroke. Now this is Stroke. Look at the header. It's
Mm,
totally different. Okay.
interesting. Okay.
So let me just like put them side by side, and you see what I'm talking about. So in Stroke, the page looks like this, okay? But back in Accelerator, it looks like this. So I'm talking about the same page, and you saw that, okay? I didn't make any like modification. I just like copy a page from one site to another site.
Yep.
But the look and feel is totally different.
Right. Right. How'd you do
Okay,
that?
exactly. That's part of the story. Okay. Also notice, okay, I use the same content type to create three different views. Okay, this is the first. Okay, you have like dark blue, okay, in the header, and then you have green, and then my cascade site is also different. Okay, that's the third theme. So it looks like this. If I like copy the board page, okay, into my site, it will look exactly like this. Okay, with the white header and so on and so forth, with like cascade administration as the site title.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, that's site configuration. Okay, now something fun. Okay, this will be fun. Okay, let me pull up the page first. RWD. This is one of the test pages, okay, in RWD, and this is actually the index page of slideshow. So let me just show you the page first. Okay, so I have a slideshow in this region. Well, I use the term region loosely, okay? You see why I do that in a second. Now, I want you to like pay attention, okay, to this white boundary, okay?
Okay.
And the white boundary on this side and the white boundary on the top. So for other people, this will be a region sitting on top of these two columns, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Usually it'd be separate regions.
Yep. Now let me just like pull up the block, okay, associated with this slideshow, but I'll use another tab, okay, to do that. So I will edit the block and then show you the page. Remember, okay, it looks like this, but I'm editing the block, okay? I'm not editing the region or format or whatever, because there's only one region, okay, remember? Okay, I'm going, like, I'm editing the page, okay? No, is it the page? Oh, yeah. I'm editing the page, but not exactly editing the page. Instead, I'm editing the block right here, okay? This is the block I'm going to edit, okay?
Okay.
From this top inner, I'm going to check top outer instead.
Okay.
Now, remember, this is a data definition block. I'm just changing the value of the radio button.
Right. So you could have made these like editable fields or whatever they're called, right?
I prefer using a radio button so that you don't have like free text.
Okay.
Now, I want you to check the page again, okay? Look closely.
Whoa. Okay. The banner got wider.
Yep.
The
For
slider.
other people, I moved the slide from one region to another region.
Okay.
Is it fair to say that?
Yeah. Or you mean one region of the HTML?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. 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 No.
Well,
Clearly.
how do you achieve this if you don't move the slideshow from one region to another region?
Yeah. I'd love to know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is not the end of the fun, okay? More fun is coming up, okay? Okay,
Okay.
let me show you another page. There's a slideshow here
Right.
in the center column, okay? So it stops just next to the left column,
Right.
okay? And I'm going to pull up something from this page, okay? And now Now I'm going to edit the page, but I'm not really editing the page, okay? I'm editing a block on the page.
Okay.
So there's a block here, okay, attached to this block chooser. And actually, I'm not editing this block. I'm editing a block attached to this block, okay? So I'm going to like edit this one instead.
Oh, cool.
Do you follow?
Yeah.
So I start with a page. This page has a block in a chooser, but in that block, there are actually two block choosers inside. So I edit one of the blocks, okay? This block.
Right, right.
Now, just want to make sure you know what I'm talking about. The page name is called bottom inner, okay?
Okay.
And actually the slideshow stays in the bottom, is inside the page, okay? Like next to the left column.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm going to change something here, okay? I'm going to change inner to outer. Remember, this is an XML block,
Right.
okay? So I'm going to submit and check the page again. You see, it's under the left column.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Now,
That's cool.
if I change it to outmost, I need to edit. Let's check again. You see?
Huh. Wow.
Okay, let me change it to top inner instead.
You got to edit it, right?
You see, I use this block to control where that slideshow should be displayed.
Right, right, right.
So it moves from the bottom to the top.
Wow. Oh, now,
And
what if you have two elements that both have the same specification, like in terms of layout?
I don't understand your question.
Like, let's say you had two slideshows or
Yeah.
two whatever elements they are, and you both gave them top
Oh, you
inner.
cannot do that. You cannot do that because it relies on IDs of like diffs to make this work. We'll come to the details.
Okay.
But when you like move things around, they must be tagged with an ID, and the ID must be unique.
Okay.
But you can put slideshows, okay? One in the top inner, one in the top outer if you want to. Okay, let me finish this, okay? So I'm changing this, okay, to outer. And it will like move further up. Okay.
Mhm. Wow. That's cool.
Now let me show you another crazy page. Let's see, where is it? This one. You see where the slideshow is?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Where is it?
Oh, wait. You mean not the one that's on the screen right now?
The one on the screen.
Yeah, it's in,
Where's the slideshow?
it's like middle inner, I guess.
Let me just show you the code. You control it in the code for this one. The slideshow is right in the middle of a list.
Oh, okay.
Now, if I move it, okay, to let's say here, or like between UN and DER, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Wow.
Basically, you can insert this is actually the brick idea. You can insert a brick anywhere you want, right?
Right, right,
But this is a slideshow. It's crazy, but it's doable.
right.
Okay, I hope this one is the fun part. So basically, I want to recap, okay, what we saw.
Right.
First, we saw a data definition block with two radio buttons, and you can pick, okay, where the slideshow should show.
Right.
It's kind of like a pair of buttons to determine, okay, which region you want it to land to.
Right. Right.
The second demo, okay, about the slideshow is I edited an XML block and plug in a string here. Then it controls, okay, excuse me, where the slideshow should show up.
Right. Right.
Okay, we'll come back to all these, okay, with all the details.
Okay.
So that's the demo part. I hope, I mean, you are at least, okay, enticed to like, okay, to learn more.
Yeah. No. I. It seems like the text block based one is more flexible in terms of you can just type whatever.
Exactly.
You know, if
That's
you're
called an instruction block.
okay. So like if
Okay,
you're somebody like Ming Chen, and you know what all the divs are, you can just set up
yep,
the configuration,
yep.
manually. If you're somebody more like me, you might not know all the options. You might prefer radio buttons.
You haven't seen everything yet, okay?
Okay.
Just as a teaser, okay? Let me just show you one more thing.
Okay.
Let me just show you a block. This is not about like displaying regions, okay? But rather it's something different. But it's something related. Let me see. Where is it? I created yesterday. Data definition block. Okay, let me just show you. I have a block here, and I have velocity code here.
Okay.
The code will be used to process something. Of course, here I have a macro, okay, and then like call the macro. But if I like show you this one instead, I brought up the wrong one. You see, I use the code to process this WYSIWYG. So you have the data fields. You also have the code to process the data field in one block.
Okay. Okay.
So you plug this block somewhere. This code, okay, will be used to process whatever up there. I tried it with a slideshow.
Oh.
Okay, we'll be back here, okay, later, okay.
Okay.
There are many, many crazy ideas, okay. So, that's the demo part.
All right. Okay. That's
Okay,
cool.
now let me give you the big picture first, okay. So, if you look at the agenda, I listed all the essential components in the newest like implementation. That's point 7. So key components of the model. So let me read through it, okay? So data definitions, and then velocity library, macro name, computation, and automatic macro invocations, and then script blocks, and then code templates to generate velocity code, and then instruction blocks and reduction of regions, and then site configuration, and then web services. The last point is coexistence of old and new. You have already seen it, okay? So 2 content types, okay? One with many regions, one with only one, but they coexist and they work exactly the same way, almost exactly the same way.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
I'll go through this list, okay, point by point. Okay, first, the basics. So let us go back to the page we set up a moment ago, and let's write some code. So this is the most important part. So I want to make sure we are on the same page. Beyond this, okay, everything, if you understand what is going on here in this part, then everything else should be relatively like straightforward.
Okay. I'm just so you know, I'm going to follow along.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's easier than me trying to do what you're doing.
Right. Right. Okay. I'm going to unplug those blocks because they are getting into the way. Okay, cluttering the page. So I'm unplugging them. So I'm still using this page, okay, and I'm going to pull up the format, and where is the format? Oh, right here. So I'm going to comment out this, well, remove it. I don't need that anymore. By the way, I want to point you to a page in my site so that if you get lost at some point, you can always come back and look at that page. So I'm looking at my site,
Yep.
and if you look at formats, there's a velocity, or you can actually jump to the velocity tutorial directly from the right quick links.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
Now, lesson 11. Here I talk about evaluate, and I want to go through this, okay, with some details so you understand how evaluate works, because everything relies on this evaluate. If you don't understand it, then there's no point moving forward.
Gotcha.
Okay, so let us look at evaluate. But before we look at evaluate, let us start from something basic first. Okay, so I want to make sure you understand this. Okay, so set my var assign 4, let's say, and then I just print out my var. Okay,
Got it.
so I expect to see 4 on the page.
Got it.
Okay, now first thing we need to know is whenever we use set like this, okay, we are creating a global variable.
Right.
Global meaning this, okay? If you, for example, create a global variable in this file, notice, okay, the first line of this format, I'm importing a file, okay, from the library.
Right.
If there's a global variable defined in this file, it will be visible here because it's global.
Oh, okay. Global in scope, you mean?
Yep.
Okay.
That's how it worked a moment ago. I call it process system page, and then a whole bunch of global variables made available in that macro, but I can access them here.
Gotcha.
Okay, so remember, we saw the. Let me just pull it up. We saw this a moment ago. So it's in common access, in the library, and then velocity. There's a file called ChanW global values. And I defined a whole bunch of for example, HTML tags that I can use.
Mm-hmm.
And I can use them here.
Okay. It's kind of neat.
Okay, am I too fast?
No, no.
Okay.
Following.
Okay, so for example, this $HR or $BR, they are defined in this file.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep, so BR is here, HR is here. So HR will print a horizontal rule with a class, but if you don't have that class, you just see a plain horizontal rule.
Okay.
So I put the HR here to push down the line. Well, this HR will push everything down, so it won't be blocked by this image. And BR and so on and so forth will work, okay? Because they are declared in the library. And in this, your question?
They also do they have to be tags that are that not like for example, an anchor tag that requires open and closing tag? So I guess what I'm trying to ask
Sure,
is,
because I mean, if you insert something right in the middle, I am no way to follow. For example, the pre, okay, you have the S pre and then the N pre.
right?
You have to use both.
Oh, okay.
Because
Yeah.
of course, I have a macro to allow you to insert something into pre, but that's a different thing. I'm just talking about global variables here.
Gotcha.
So again, okay, whenever you use set or define, okay, you are creating global variables.
Okay.
Now, so I can use whatever global variables defined elsewhere. But now let's say, okay, I want to create a library macro so that when you plug in, okay, some number into this macro, I would double the value of that variable.
Okay.
Okay. So let us remove this. Okay. I'm saying this, okay. So macro, the name of the macro, let's call it double it, okay. and then you plug in something in the macro. I will change, okay, the variable, okay, and then double the value.
Right.
But the problem is this, okay, this macro will be sitting somewhere in the library. So I don't know what you're going to plug in. I don't see any global variables except global variables already defined in the library.
Oh, okay. So var is also a global variable in this scenario. It's not
var is not. Var is actually a local variable.
local to the macro.
Yep. So let's say this macro actually is sitting somewhere in my library. And in this format, you are the client, okay? You are the client. So you'll be doing something like this. You call the macro, and then, well, let us do this, okay? I need something more than just macro call. So let us just accept var, okay? Assign the value 10, okay?
Right.
And you call my macro. No. Double it. And then you plug in this, okay? Let's say.
Right.
What I mean? Let's say these two lines belong to one format. These two lines belong to another format.
Right. Right.
And here, I don't know your var. I know nothing about it because this is like supposed to be library code. And probably the library code is written before the client code.
Right.
So I don't know anything about your var.
Right.
So how do
you mean in terms of like what type it is, or
well, it's supposed to be an integer.
integer?
That's
Yeah.
taken. Yeah. But other than that, I don't know anything about your variable.
Okay.
So how am I going to double the value stored in this variable?
Well, can't you return a value from a macro?
Nope. You are supposed to like modify that variable and then change it to 20.
Okay. Well, what happens if you? Okay. What happens if you call that variable, let's say, just v, and then you pass like on line 10. Let's say you set v equals to 10, and you do double, and then on line 11 you say double it v. Does it var?
Oh, okay. Read out the code.
Okay. So on line 10, set
Okay.
v equals to 10.
Set V.
Yeah, just call it v.
Okay.
And then on line 11,
Yeah.
you call double it v.
Yeah.
Now, my question is, doesn't the variable on line 11 get assigned to the variable on line 17?
Yeah. But how are you going to like turn this variable into something storing 20? That's my question.
Okay, I don't know the answer. I
Well,
give up.
so when you're done with this macro call, you print $V. I want
Right.
to see 20.
Right, right.
But in here, I know nothing about your $V.
What if you double var in that macro? Does it not affect v?
Okay, give me the code.
Set var equals var asterisk 2.
Like this, right?
Right. 2.
Sure. You are paying attention to the code. Okay, let's see. Come on, refresh it. It's still 10.
Right. Okay.
What happens? Why 10?
So so it's not returning. So it's not var changing var in the macro doesn't affect the global variable v. Apparently.
No, you know nothing about the global variable. That's the point.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the client can name this anything they want. So
right,
you can't just like follow them, okay? If you name it V, I'll change it to V. If you just call it S, I'll change it to S. You can't do that.
Right, right. So what do you do if you can't return values either?
Okay. You need to use evaluate.
Oh.
That's the whole point. So let us like do it slowly, okay?
Yes.
Instead of this, okay? Well, I'll keep it so that I can reuse it later. Let's say you don't pass in, okay, the variable. Instead, you pass in the variable name.
Hmm.
Whatever you call it, you pass
Right.
in the name.
Okay.
Let's change it to something funny, okay? Instead of V, give me a funny word.
Labradoodle.
How do you spell it?
L-A, so lab,
Lab?
L-A-B, uh,
Yeah.
R-A, and then doodle, D-O-O-D-L-E.
Okay.
Mix of a
Okay.
Labrador and a poodle, I believe.
Ah, okay, okay. So I'm going to pass in the name of the variable, okay, without the dollar sign.
All right.
Now, in the macro, let us do this, okay? You follow?
Uh, is that so does that say var name minus dollar sign in
By
quotation?
attaching the S sign with whatever you pass in together.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
let us just like print this out, okay?
Okay. Is that var name equals or var name minus? Dash.
This is equal.
Okay. Okay.
When you use set, you have to use equal.
Right. Right. Right.
So let's check, okay, what is output? Does it look like your variable?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Ignore the
it.
dollar $V. Where does it come from? Oh, it's here. So let us remove it. No, var name. Where does it? Oh, this dollar $V. Sorry, I
12.
have to remove this. So this will give you
Ah,
the variable name. Although you just like gave me the name, but I'm turning it into a variable.
so basically it's a string.
Yep, you give me a string. I turn it back into a variable.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now let me call evaluate. What do you expect to see?
Something magical. Maybe 10, maybe 20.
Not 20 yet.
Well,
We
not
don't have
20.
20 yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Just if it says 10, I'll be impressed. Wow.
Okay.
It says 10. That's pretty
Now
cool.
remember, let me just like put them side by side so you know what I'm talking about. This is a string.
Hmm.
Okay. Although the string looks like code, but it's still a string.
Right. Right.
But when you put a string that looks like code into evaluate, you are turning it into code,
Gotcha.
turning a string into code,
Like,
and then execute it.
okay. So evaluate is a built-in velocity macro.
Yep. It's like eval or something like that in all languages.
Mhm.
PHP, JavaScript, same thing. You write up the code in the format of a string, and at the end, you evaluate.
Oh, okay. Didn't know you could do that.
You can do that in Velocity. That's how you like create global variables. Okay. Now, before I do this, okay, I need to like multiply by 2, right?
Right.
So here I set this variable name, okay? Now I need to do this, okay? Set var name assign. No, I'm forming a string. I need to do a string first. So we will like do this later. So let us do this. Set call it statement. Okay, I'm creating a statement. Now make sure you follow. Okay, this is a string,
Right.
and I will put in var name here. This var. Okay, so it's dollar labradoodle.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then I put set before it. Okay. And I put bar name times 2. If it doesn't work, I can copy code from my lesson. Okay, but I hope it works. So I'm going to evaluate this. Okay, but before I do that, let us just like print out the statement.
Okay.
Okay. So I want to see what I want to see first before I do the evaluate. So let us just check the result first. Let's check the statement.
Could you also? Okay. Okay. So that looks right.
That looks right, but something's missing. Or is it? Set laboratory equal laboratory. I think everything is okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let us evaluate that. Here, okay, before we run the code, I want to print out the variable again, not the pound sign, but the sign. So after the macro call, I print out the variable.
Okay. Okay.
You see 20?
Yep.
That's how it works. So basically, you create velocity code in the format of in a string. Basically, you're dealing with a string.
Right.
But at the end, you call evaluate and turn the string back to velocity code and execute it.
Okay.
So before you call evaluate, you are working with a string. And you form whatever string you want to. And then you check it, okay? Make sure it looks like code before you call evaluate.
Right. Because you don't want to do anything. You don't want to break anything.
Exactly. So you basically like print it out, character by character, you just check it, okay? Does it look like code? Is there anything wrong, anything that shouldn't be there, or anything missing before you call evaluate? Otherwise, you only see the string if you don't do it properly. Let me just like demo, okay? Let's say, let's remove this bracket, okay? So it doesn't look like velocity code anymore if you remove it. Okay?
Okay.
So let's run the format and see. Oh, it doesn't allow me to do that because it will check actually. It doesn't allow me to do that. Never mind.
So bottom line, this gets around the limitation of not being able to return values from a macro, correct?
This is more than that. Later on, you'll see, okay, everything relies on evaluate.
Okay.
It's more than just like returning something.
Okay.
It's a lot more than that.
Okay. Okay.
Now, let me just like point you to a macro in the library. In the library called macro utilities. It's already on the in the common site you have.
Right.
So there's a macro called set variable right here. You plug in a variable name, you plug in a value, it will set the variable with that value. It's exactly what we did a moment ago, basically.
Okay.
So if you look at this part, this is what we did a moment ago.
Okay. Yep.
So let us test this, okay? So set variable, and let's come back here. So I'll just like remove all these, okay, and invoke this, okay, directly. And I'm going to pass in the variable name and set it to no comma, set it to 30, okay.
Okay.
No big deal. And I'm going to output it down here. So we are no longer dealing with doublet, okay? Doublet is gone.
Right.
Just calling that, okay?
Okay.
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 So
Yep. Heard it.
you can use this macro, and then you pass in the variable name, and then any value you want. Then that name first will be turned into a variable, and then the value will be assigned to that variable.
Okay. So, I mean, basically what the set command does.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
But because everything is global, I rely on that, and I also rely on evaluate to change the value of a global variable.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, there's a second macro I want you to like look at least look at it. Okay,
Sure.
the invoke macro.
Oh.
You can pass in a macro name, and you can pass in the parameters, okay, accepted by this macro. Then this macro will invoke that macro. Okay.
Have you ever seen Inception, the movie? Uh,
What's the name again?
Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Like Dream in a Dream, something like that, right? Oh no, Inception.
Yeah, it
It's
has to do
like
with dream. Yeah, something like that. Well, it has to do with many levels.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. I
It
know
sort
what
of
you mean.
reminds me of that.
Yeah, I saw that movie before. Okay,
So,
let's try this one instead. Okay.
yeah.
To call this, okay, use this one should be a list. Okay. So let me just come back here and so let's see. We have a name, we have a value. I'm not sure whether it works, okay, but I'll try it.
Can you call set macro with? Uh, can you call set variable within set macro?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, that would be crazy.
Okay. So I'm calling that macro, but I need to pass in a list, okay, of like variables and things like that.
Oh,
So I will first plug this in.
right. That's your array.
I believe everything should be like strings. So let me just like turn this into a string, okay?
So you're so you're
Okay.
calling invoke macro set variable. Okay. Okay. Got it.
Let's try it. It doesn't allow me to 10. Where's the 10 come from? 7. Let us comment this out. Oh no. But then Labradoodle will be missing. What is it complaining about? Let's see. We don't need this line. A list. Oh, bracket is missing. Or is it?
No, you just need one.
Then what is it complaining about?
For when you call the macro in the first parameter on line 12, do you need um, do you need parentheses or?
I do. It's just a name of the macro that I'm going to invoke.
Right. Okay. Oh, so
Well,
it's just the name.
line 1, column 7. What is it complaining about? Let us just do it step by step.
Hey, Wing, I'll be right back while you
Okay,
look at
sure.
that. Okay, I'm back.
Okay, I know what's wrong. Because I cannot like set the parameter here. I have to set it first and then plug it
Huh.
in
Okay.
like this, and probably it should work. No. Param. Encounter 10. Why does it keep complaining about the 10? Perhaps. Let's move on. I don't want to be stuck here.
Oh,
It's
wait
not
a second.
important. Okay. If you
Labradoodle
spotted something,
on line 10. Those Labradoodle, the fact that you're setting it to be a integer,
yeah,
does that make a
shouldn't
difference?
matter.
This
Shouldn't
is
matter.
okay. All
It
right.
doesn't complain about this, but I'm not sure what it complains about.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
That's weird.
let's move on. I'll like figure out what is wrong here
Okay.
later. Okay, so let me just comment it out. I never like did this before. I mean, using invoke and then invoke this, but I did invoke other macros.
Right.
Okay, okay. If you understand how evaluate works, then I want to point out one thing. When you like create that string as code, okay, to be evaluated later, you have to watch out for like the dollar sign, the pound sign, and so on and so forth. A moment ago, I showed you, okay, when you like create a string, you have to separate the pound sign from the macro name, for example, whatever you want to invoke. If you put them together, this is no longer a string. It is code
Okay.
for velocity. Because velocity will try to interpret everything as code first.
Okay.
If you say, okay, I plug in a pound and then invoke macro, even though, okay, you are trying to like formulate a long string like this, okay, even though you do this, velocity won't care. It will still treat this as code, not a
Really?
string.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Because a pound sign is followed by characters, then velocity will first assume this is a macro call.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yep, you have to keep that in mind. It's the same for dollar sign. So if you have like dollar something, well, let me prove it, okay? Let me just like remove this first. Let me prove it. This is easy to prove. I have like double quote, and then I have like dollar labradoodle, okay? Remember, this is inside quote, okay? So we would assume this is a string, but actually velocity sees a variable.
Right. Right. Right.
So you will see 10 in quotes.
Right. Oh, okay.
So velocity would interpret this, okay, not as a string, but as a variable inside double quotes.
And it'll do the same if you use a pound sign. It'll interpret that as a macro.
Same thing, same thing.
Interesting.
So let us try that, okay? Just to like to make sure we understand each other. A moment ago we did this, okay? Pound. Let me just copy from set variable, set variable. So we set variable, and then this time I use single quote, okay? So so that I can use double quote later. My var, and I want to set it to 16, let's say, okay? So let us print it first. I want to see 16, okay, before I put it in double quote. Okay, 16. Now, I put this in double quote, and velocity still sees it, okay, as a piece of code, not a string.
Really?
Well, I'm trying to prove it to you. You see 16 exists outside the double quote.
Right. It just put the quotes around.
So it prints the double quotes, okay, and then execute the code.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Okay, this is something funny. Okay, but if you really want a string, okay, you have to separate the pound sign from whatever remaining. Okay, you have to do it this way.
So the plus is being used as an operator there, not as
Concatenation, string concatenation.
okay. Right, right.
So you have like set something, assign this whole thing, then it will be a string because
Prove
you
it.
separate the pound sign from the macro name.
Prove it.
Okay, so set statement, okay, stmt, and then assign this whole thing. And I can print out the statement actually without printing the value. I have to call evaluate, okay, to print the value. BR. Well, I'm just printing the statement. Okay, my var is empty basically because I didn't execute the code.
Right, right.
So the point is, if you separate the pound sign from whatever remaining, then it's no longer code, it's a string.
Okay.
But if you put them together, it's code, not a string.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
That's very important. So when you format, okay, well, when you create code as a string, you have to separate the pound sign from the macro call, the dollar sign from variable name. You have to pay attention to double quote and single quote like I did it here, okay? So double quote outside, single quote inside, things like that. It's very messy.
Right, right.
Now, how do I avoid this?
Evaluate?
No, before evaluate. How do I format a string so that it stays a string without like escaping this, escaping that?
I don't know. Is there a macro that does that?
Nope. Let me just show you. Common access. Blocks. Code. Global velocity code. Do you see what is going on here? I put the code in an XML block.
Okay.
When the block is read by using the locator tool, I can pinpoint a certain piece of the code. I read it as a string.
Right.
It's a string. It's not code.
Right, right.
That's why I don't need to escape the pound sign. I don't need to escape the dollar sign, for example.
Oh,
It's just a string.
That's smart, right? It's already a string.
But later, when you are done with like, okay, doing everything, massaging this string, you call evaluate.
Right, right, right. Okay.
So right now you're looking at strings only, not code.
Right. Okay.
But in fact, it is code. So it's both a string and code. Before you call evaluate, it's just a string.
Right.
But after you call evaluate, the string is turned into code.
Okay. It's code that's ready to be evaluated.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. In this way, I don't need to worry about the dollar sign, the pound sign, single quote, double quote. I don't need to worry about anything like that.
Right.
They're just strings.
That's pretty smart.
Okay. Thank you. So we've seen evaluate. We've seen some macros from the library. Okay. Now, let us talk about a few things, okay, listed in the agenda. This will help us, okay, understand what I'm going to do next. First, what is a region? You tell me, what is a region in Cascade?
A region is, without using the word region, that's, let's see. A region is an area within your template where you can attach a block or a format or both.
Okay. So is it fair to say, okay, a region is a physical location area in which you want to display data, and the data comes from the block and the format.
Right.
Okay. So
Agreed.
that's the data definition of a region. If I can achieve this, is it fair to say I created a region?
Fair. Okay. Yeah, I'll grant you that.
But did you see that? I already like did that.
How
I
so?
moved the slideshow around
Right. Yeah. With the slideshow, you kind of show that you can do that. Yeah.
without using a region.
Right. Right.
Now, I really want you to like appreciate this, okay? Because you gave me that definition of a region. If I can achieve the same effect, I can live without regions.
But okay. Yeah, but you still haven't explained how you move the slideshow around.
Sure, sure. That will be coming up.
Okay. Okay.
We just want to understand, okay, what we mean by using a region.
Right. Right. Yeah. I guess it is an
Okay,
area where you display data. Yeah.
okay. Now, what is a block chooser?
Block chooser is
Yeah,
it's a data definition um, construct
yeah.
or
It's a field.
it's a component. Yeah, it's a field. Right.
Yeah. To do what?
Okay, that lets you choose, any of the 4 or so types of blocks.
Okay.
Okay,
So basically, a field from the data definition allowing you to choose a block, right?
you're right, and then associate the data from that block with the page.
Okay. Okay.
Is that fair?
Now, what if, okay, whatever you chose, okay, actually has two parts, a block and a format.
But you can't. There is no format chooser.
I can prove it to you. I can do that.
Well, okay.
Let's say, okay, for the moment, okay, for argument's sake, if you can plug a block into a block chooser in which you can find a block and you can find a format, then what is it?
Oh, okay. Then I guess you could make that into a region. Suppose.
Exactly. Okay.
All right.
Actually, the third part, okay, is I can turn a region into a block chooser.
You can turn a region. You mean a real
Into a
region
block chooser. Yep, I can do that.
into a block chooser, right? Because it already right. That's part of.
We'll see the details in a second, okay?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to convey this message. There's no real difference between a region and a block chooser. If you do it in a certain way, the difference will disappear.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
But that's the key to eliminate all the regions except default.
Oh. Okay. Except what you said?
Except the default.
The
Because I
default.
mean you have to have default.
Right. Right. Right.
That's mandatory. You
Right.
you cannot get rid of it.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay. Now, the next point is data versus presentation. Okay. Now, in terms of blocks and formats, okay, which is data, which is presentation?
The block is data and the format is presentation.
Okay. Now, you know that, okay, you can put static HTML markup in a format, right?
Right.
You also know that you can put a string into a block, and the string looks like velocity code.
Right.
So what's the difference between a block and a format?
Well, but you still need the format to run. If you have code in a block, you still need a
Yeah,
format to run it.
true.
Okay.
But I'm trying to tell you this, okay? If you look closely, a block can look like a format, and a format can look like a block.
Okay. Fair. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough.
You see, okay, everything, all the difference, okay, will be removed. All the differences, region, block chooser, format, block, and so on and so forth. They'll mingle. You
Okay.
have to get this mindset first. Otherwise, I mean, later on, everything will go crazy.
You know, I like to think of things as black and white, but you're starting to make things gray here. A lot of gray going on here.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, the last part, okay, before we look at number 9, I want you to like tell me whether you understand the high show mechanism.
The hide show mechanism.
Yep.
Where?
Okay.
I guess not.
Obviously, you don't.
I don't.
Okay. You probably need to look at Jay Mercer's two presentations. One in 2012, the conference of 2012. One last year. He talked about using the template level format to move things around.
Okay, I am familiar with that concept.
Okay, okay. If you are, then I don't need to like dwell on the details. Basically, you start with something, okay, the source, okay, I'll call it the source.
Right.
The source will have a div or any element, okay, with an ID hide dash something.
Right.
And then there should be a target, okay, called show dash something. Then the content of the hide will go to the div of the show.
Oh, okay.
That's how you move things around.
Okay.
That's how my slideshow is moved around.
No. Okay. So,
Okay, of course you need to like set up the high and set up the show and so on and so forth.
so you're using the template level format?
Yes, that's the key.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now we can go to the details.
All right.
Okay, data definition. I just want to lay down the rules so that if you follow my rules, okay, all the velocity code will work.
Where are you in the agenda?
Number 9.
Okay. Number 9. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now, data definition. Let me just copy something and then I'll analyze the code, okay? And then if you follow my rules, okay, I'm laying down the rules right now. So let me just go there and then grab whatever. Wait, this is simple. I will come back to page data definition in a second, okay? But I want to talk about something simple first. This is about calculating names of macros so that I can invoke them automatically.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. Okay, when you define a data definition for a block, there are actually 2 types, okay, I can define. Let me just pull them up, okay, so that you can compare them side by side. Let me just do this, and then let me grab the XML, and then paste it here so that you can see them together. Okay, this first. This is what I call a single functional data definition. Meaning this whole definition, okay, serves one purpose only.
Okay.
You can do, for example, a slideshow, a WYSIWYG, whatnot. Down here, the second one is multifunctional, okay, or multiple functional, okay, whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. Multifunctional.
Right.
Meaning, in this block, you have several groups. Each group is independent from the others, and each group serves one purpose, has like a unique functionality. But you're grouping a whole bunch of different types of functionality together into a block.
Okay.
So you can use this like multimedia to do a slideshow, a gallery, a single image, things like that.
Gotcha.
The point of creating something like this, okay, this is called what I call mega block. The reason is this. First, you don't have to like create 5 different blocks or 6 or 7. Actually, you can like keep adding. For example, we have YouTube near the end. You use one block and then it can be turned into anything you want within the definition. Okay, so it can be a slideshow, it can be YouTube, it can be Flickr, a slideshow, it can be a single image. You name it, you pick it.
Okay.
In the SF factory, you only have one multimedia, but when you pick it, you can still like pick a functionality.
Okay.
You don't clutter your SF factory like with like different things. Because you pick a block, it can do many, many different things.
Oh, okay. So is this using smart fields?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, we will go to the details in a second, okay?
Okay.
Let us go back to the single functional. These are the rules, okay? First, you need to give me the type information right here, this line. So there's a identifier called block type.
Right.
And then you need to give me the functionality of this block. Well, assuming it's attached to a block. And then this identifier must appear in a group, and this group must be a root group. So we have three roots, okay? Well, three root elements. First, the block information. Second, a pair of radio buttons to decide whether you want to display the content or whatever. This field is used to kill the block without unattaching the block from pages.
To kill
So
the
if you
block?
select no,
Oh, okay.
in the format, I will look at this value. If it's yes, then proceed and process the block. If
Okay.
no, don't do anything.
Gotcha.
So this is the master killer.
Okay.
We all have, well, all the blocks at Upstate has like this master killer. So when you have a block attached to like a lot of pages and you want to remove that block, you don't have to physically remove that block from these pages. You just turn it off. That's all.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Okay. So we use this as the master killer to basically like turn something and deprecate something like that.
Right. Okay.
You don't have to have it. Okay. I'm just saying, explaining, okay, why we have it.
Right.
The third element is a group. It must be a group.
Okay.
And the ID of the group, okay, the first part must be whatever you put into the block type.
Right.
Second part must be dash group.
Okay.
These are the rules. So you have to give me the type information, and you have to have a group within a certain ID.
Right. Gotcha.
So whenever you give me a single functional block, I can recover the type, and from the type, I can recover the macro name.
Okay.
That's how it works. So when you plug this block into a chooser, I will invoke process WYSIWYG group.
Gotcha.
A multifunctional block works in a similar way. If you look closely, okay, first we have the type information. Because this is a multifunctional one, okay, so this name doesn't really really give you any meaning about any group. Rather, it's like a summary of all things, okay, done by this block.
Okay.
And then you have smart fields, okay, controlled by these radio buttons. So if you look at, for example, single image group, there's a group with this ID, single image group, okay, and then the ID of this group is, single image group. But this radio button is called single image.
Okay.
So if you walk through the lines, okay, this one is called random image.
Right.
And corresponding to random image group. It's kind of like this, okay? WYSIWYG corresponds to WYSIWYG group.
Oh, okay.
And then we have like single image corresponding to like single image group.
Okay, I see the pattern.
Exactly. You create a pattern.
Right. Okay.
Once you create a pattern, you don't need to tell me anything. I just go into the block, look at the type. If it is singular, I grab the group name and turn it into a macro name. If it is a a multiple, then I look at the radio buttons, okay? Which one is checked? I get the group name.
Okay. Okay.
Then I turn it into a macro.
Also, so these data definitions allow you to configure how the velocity code is going to work?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. Oh, and when you save a page using or block using this data definition, it saves it as that XML format of.
Not yet. Don't jump there yet.
Oh, okay, no,
Just try to understand the data definition rules. That's all.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, I took a leap there.
You're jumping ahead.
Yeah.
So as far as data definition blocks are concerned, if you give me a block configured in this way, okay, following all the rules, you give me a block, I know what macro to call to process the block.
To process the block. Okay.
And remember, I only process a group inside the block. That's always the case.
Okay.
Reason being this, I have a WYSIWYG up here, okay, as a single functional block.
Right.
But I can also have a group ID with WYSIWYG group in a multifunctional block. I can
Oh,
use the
okay.
same macro to process
Oh,
both.
oh, okay.
This is
Okay.
about reusability.
Right. Okay.
So I use group as a unit,
Right.
and then I write macros to process groups only.
Okay. I
So
follow.
if you like, if you like give me everything like this, okay, you set it up properly, then everything will work.
Right. Okay. Can you give me an example, or
Sure.
is that later on?
If you want an example, I already gave you an example. Costa Rica, remember?
Oh, right, right, right. Where you had so you use
You
the
plug in something, well, something that doesn't exist. Still, that macro will be invoked.
right. Okay. Okay.
But of course, you need to provide me the macro,
Okay.
right?
Right. 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 The macro has to exist.
Yep. Okay, let me show you something. In the That's something I did this morning. Uh, it looked crazy, okay, but bear with me. I actually put a macro in this block. This is the macro I'm talking about. This one right here. I put the macro into a block. Well, let me say something about this. Otherwise, I mean, you'll be lost. Okay, why I did that? This morning I developed and implemented an idea. The idea is this. I have a macro. This one, okay, process block chooser. First, the code was like in a format. Okay, the velocity code in a velocity format. But I also want to post the code on a page in my tutorial. Do you follow?
Yes. Yes.
So I want the same code. On the one hand, X-like code, a macro. But on the other hand, I want it to act like a string
Okay.
so that I can display it.
Right. Okay.
Well, how do I do that? Remember, if you like put this code, okay, onto a page as static content, of course it will work. But then every time when I change this code, I need to update that page.
Right.
But instead of this, okay, I put the code into a block, in this XML block. And then I read the code, okay, from this block. On the one hand, I send, okay, the string to a format and evaluate it. Then this macro will become available to my system.
Right. So it all comes back
On the
to
other hand, say it again.
evaluate.
Yep. On the other hand, I read this string and display it on my page as a string. It's just like displayed string.
Okay.
So the same source controls both. If I change something here, instead of like the dash here, I can change it to something else. Of course, the code will be broken, okay? But let's say if I like change it and the code still works, then the evaluate will turn this piece of string, okay, into valid code and then evaluate and generate this macro. But on my page, I also read from this string. So the page will display the correct information without my updating the page.
Oh, that's okay. I'm not sure I followed that completely, but go ahead.
Basically, let me just sum up, okay? From this angle, okay, in the block, this is just a string. But of course,
Right.
it's valid code, okay? When I evaluate it, it will return into velocity code and execute it. So
Right.
the macro will be generated.
Right. Right. Right.
On the
Okay.
other hand, the string is used on a page, displayed as code.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't real
That's it.
I didn't realize we were looking at a block. Okay.
I'm looking at the block, yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now, this is the macro, okay, that processes all the block choosers. So if you look at the format to process the page, okay, calling page, okay, whenever I see a block chooser, I just call this macro.
Okay.
Now, let us go through the code, okay? Ignore the first 5 lines, okay? I'll come back to this. But start from here. The first part is about text blocks. When you look at, well, let me just pull up a calling page or no, site block indexing. Okay, this is the index block, okay, indexing the site. Let me just like show you a text block. This is folder. No, site block indexing. It is here. Block structure. Oh, here. Site search global footer. Where is it? Site info. It is the block. I have a text block here. I want to see this text. Okay, let's try it again. Site block indexing, site info. Help me, okay? I'm looking for site info.
Okay.
Well, I can search. Site info is right here. So global menu, logo, URL, JavaScript, theme, style sheet, menu bar. Oh, right here.
Okay.
This is a text block.
Okay.
Now, notice, okay, a text block can contain anything. It doesn't have to have XML element, right?
Right.
So if you plug in a text block and you cannot like determine what's inside, because I mean, it's not even XML,
Right.
but you can always look at the parent, right?
Right.
So whatever block choosers you are talking about, the parent is always content.
Okay.
Check this, okay? Menu bar, content. This is a data definition block, okay? Content. A theme, content. JavaScript, content. These are text fields, they don't count. This is a file, but this is also a block, so content. So you can see, whenever you plug in a block, the block chooser would dominate a child called content.
Okay.
This content is the parent of the root element. If you're talking about like data definition block, index block, whatever, this is actually content root.
Okay.
Right? But above it, you see content.
So you're saying when it's attached, when you're looking at it in the context of a page, content will
A chooser, a block chooser. Yep.
A block chooser. Okay.
Yep. So including a text block, okay, the parent is always content.
Okay.
That's why, okay, in my block chooser macro, I look for the content, not for the root element, because the root element can be missing.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so this line, then you should be able to understand, okay, why size is 0.
Right.
Because when we talk about a text block, when the text block doesn't contain any XML element, the size is 0.
Okay. So that's how you know it's a text block.
Exactly. Otherwise, okay, we need to look at the root element, well, the child of the content. So it can be system index block, it can be system data structure, it can be whatnot, right?
Right.
So here I know it's a data definition block.
Okay.
If the first element of content is system data structure,
Oh,
if
okay.
the first element is system index block, I know it's a system index block.
So those variables on line 76 and 78 are
They are all defined in global.
okay. Gotcha.
I don't want to type in like system data structure with dashes and so on and so forth. I use like constants consistently.
Gotcha.
So here we know, okay, this is a data definition block, line 77. Here we know it's an index block. Everything else is here.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you go through the code, you know, okay, if it is a feed block, then I will turn it into a certain name. If it's a script block, I turn it into a certain way. If it's a text block with the text suffix, I turn it into something. But remember, if you have a text block containing div, it'll come down here.
Gotcha.
Okay. This is what I call switchboard code. I'm like doing a switchboard, okay, by examining what's inside the block and determine how to calculate the macro name.
Oh, okay.
This is the trick I play for all block choosers.
Okay.
So whenever you plug something into a block chooser, it's first okay, go here, it'll go here, and then basically this macro will look at the block you attach to a block chooser, determine whether it's a plain text block with nothing inside but just code, or with the text suffix, or data definition block, or an index block, or feed block, or whatever, and calculate the macro name.
Gotcha.
And then notice, okay, at the end, I invoke macro.
Right. Invoke macro. Gotcha.
Okay. So up here, I process data definition block. So process data definition right here. First, I read whether it's display. If it's not, kill it. Meaning don't do anything. If it's yes, meaning go ahead, display. Then I do the conversion, okay, by looking at whatever, whatever. I turn it into Pascal case, and then I process. This is process. Macro prefix process. Attach it to the name of the macro, and then at the end, I just invoke.
Gotcha. I think I got that, although your microphone's starting to echo, so it's a little hard to hear. But I think I understood that part.
So basically, you see how the name is calculated. Now you see how it's dealt with.
Say that last part again.
Well, first, okay, you see how the name is calculated. If it is a data definition block, and I log in the block type, and then the group name, I calculate that, turn that into a macro name.
Right.
Here, I'm turning it into a macro name and invoke it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. When you say invoke, what do you mean?
Execute the macro.
So like you're calling evaluate somewhere.
Of course.
Okay.
In invoke, you see evaluate.
Right. Okay.
Of course, I mean, this part must be turned into valid code first.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let us look at invoke. You're jumping ahead again.
All right.
So in velocity and then macro utilities. Invoke. So first, I create a statement by like concatenating everything properly.
Right.
And then I evaluate.
No, there it is. Okay.
Yep. That's it. But you see, all the dirty tricks are done by evaluate.
Yeah.
You see, okay, I use this again and again and again.
Okay. So the blocks might have instructions, might have velocity code, and then
Yep. Now you see it.
and then these macros that you just went over process the information depending on what kind of block is attached.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Okay, let me give you a summary on the data definition part. Okay, so you need to give me the block type information, and then you use, if you are talking about like a multifunctional block, then you need to use radio buttons and groups, okay, and the names should match in a certain way, and then you need to come up with some decent names, okay, in the radio button, in the corresponding group, and if you're talking about a single functional, then the block type should contain whatever name, and then the group should contain whatever dash group.
Gotcha. So you,
That's one more. Yeah, your
the,
question.
you're still in section 9, right?
I'm still in section 9. Yes.
Just checking.
Okay. I ran into this problem a while ago. Be very careful about default values you assign to those fields in the data definition.
Okay.
Um, when I started, I use title case. For example, yes, I will use like uppercase Y and then lowercase es. But later on, I switch it to all lowercase because I mean this is about programming, so I switch it to like all lowercase. So lowercase YES. But this bit me.
Why is that?
This is not exactly a phantom node, but a phantom value. When you like when you like create your data definition and then you assign title case yes to the data definition, and you put the data definition into use, all the blocks or pages or whatever will store the title case yes.
Right. Sure.
But when you switch it to lowercase yes, the data is still title case yes.
Oh, really? So it doesn't recognize that as a separate
Nope.
field.
Even
Value.
if you hand edit the page, it still doesn't see lowercase yes.
Okay. Interesting.
So that radio button will have no value.
Oh, okay. And it doesn't matter whether you started with capital Y and then switched to lowercase y?
Or the other way around.
Okay.
I would call this phantom value.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And there's no way to fix it except edit the page, click the radio button, and submit.
Oh, okay.
Of course, you can fix it using web services, okay? But it's different because it's not phantom node, it's phantom value.
Okay. Okay.
It took me a while to figure out what is wrong.
I can imagine. So,
Okay,
so you're saying we should, which one should we use?
whatever way, but be consistent.
Okay.
So you write down your rules, okay? For identifiers, always lowercase or title case or whatever, but you write down your rules and follow them strictly.
Oh, okay.
Don't change in the middle.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you should like start writing your own rules, okay? All the identifiers, always lowercase. Always use the dash for word boundaries. For default values, for displaying values, okay? Either always use title case or always use lowercase, whatever, but always, no exceptions.
Use the same. Be consistent. Okay.
Yep. You're creating a pattern
Gotcha.
and stick with your own rules.
So this process is case sensitive. What you're saying?
Yep. Yep. Important, very important.
Okay.
Okay, data definition for page, well, singular, okay, data definition for the page, because we only have one page and one data definition,
Uh-huh.
okay? Now, if you are working with RWD, responsive web design, you have to include as much structure, information, and so on and so forth in the data definition so that you don't change it frequently.
Okay.
I'm saying, let's say 1 year, 2 years from now, down the road, you might need to like switch the design from one design to another design. Try not to modify the data definition. Try not to.
Oh, okay. Because then you'll run into phantom nodes.
Exactly. Not
Gotcha.
only phantom nodes, but phantom values as well.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So try to include as much information as you can right at the beginning. Of course, you cannot foresee the future. Of course not.
Right.
I still provide you, okay, scripts, okay, to like fix phantom nukes and so on and so forth. But the less phantom nukes you have, the better.
Okay.
The less headaches.
Gotcha.
That's the whole point. So when you design your data definition, you need to like include, for example, well, let me show you, okay, well, you have it, okay, on your end. But let us like pull up the data definition. Well, I can edit a page and look at the structure of the data definition. I have everything I need, okay, for the moment. So I have like block choosers, lots of them. You see the full here
Right.
from title case to to lowercase. That's the phantom value I was talking about.
Okay.
And then okay, first you have to have a default WYSIWYG. Okay, that's given, and then you have like groups. I always put them in groups except radio buttons. Okay, for smart fuse. And then I have like multiple choosers, multiple WYSIWYGs, and then down here I have the configurations. Okay, so do you want rows? If you want rows, okay, I'll give you rows, and then you can have block choosers. Okay, inside rows. Okay, and then I calculate how many rows in how many blocks in a row. I divide them into like equal parts.
Okay.
I'm saying if you plug in one block, the whole block will span 12 columns. If you plug in 2 blocks, then each one will be 6. If you plug in 3, then each one will be 4. You
Gotcha.
plug in 4, each one will be 3.
Gotcha.
And you allow up to 4.
So
And then,
this is kind of like you're saying that you should set up your data definition with every possible layout
exactly.
configuration.
If you think, okay, down the road, you might have like variable width with the columns, then you need to take that into account as well.
Right.
So you need to like provide radio buttons, okay, to set the width.
Yeah. So you can always add new elements, but what you're saying
Yeah,
is
you can. You can, but
Well-
you will create phantom nodes definitely.
Okay, I can see where that might happen. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then down here, I have a group for site configuration and then a group for page configuration.
Oh. Okay.
Okay. So what I'm trying to ask you to do is, I mean, try to think ahead 1 year, 2 years from now.
Right.
What will you end up to do? Then you should do it now.
Right. Right.
Of course, I mean, you can't really foresee too far, okay, down the road.
No.
Well, you deal with them later.
Right. Right.
But right now, try to include as much information as you can so that you
So-
don't need to like change later.
So, in other words, this is a case where more is more,
Yes,
not less
Yes.
is more.
true.
Right.
The data definition is an exception. More is better.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, let me say something briefly about Phantom Nodes Type B. You have seen Phantom Nodes Type A,
Yep.
meaning something that shouldn't exist but does exist.
Right. Right.
But Phantom Node Type B is something that should exist but doesn't.
Oh. Okay.
If you add a new field to a data definition, that node doesn't exist
Until you submit the page.
until you hand edit and submit the page.
Right. Right. Right.
It doesn't exist with respect to web services.
Oh. Okay.
But of
Right.
course, you can make it happen with web services. You just need to know how to do that.
What do you mean by making it happen?
You use web services to make them exist.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yep,
okay.
You can. You can. I promise that you can.
I would imagine you could just by making web services edit a page without.
Nope, it won't work.
Oh no.
Nope. It won't work.
I'll take your word for it that you can make it.
If it
happen.
doesn't exist before, it doesn't exist after.
Okay.
You have to make them exist before you edit.
Oh, okay. Oh, you mean by adding them to the data definition?
Nope. By adding them to the structured data.
Oh, okay.
We'll come to this later, okay, when we talk about web services.
Yeah. Okay.
So just to sum up what we looked at, okay, for data definition, okay, plural, you need to worry about 2 parts. First, the one for the page. My advice is, I mean, to do as much as you can on the data definition for page, well, for the page.
Okay.
And also try to use groups. Although, I mean, those groups won't be reusable. You won't use something on a page or in a blog. Normally, you don't do that.
Right. Okay.
But I will still group them into groups so that you can use smart fields and radio buttons and so on and so forth to control them.
Gotcha.
For blocks, follow the rules, okay? You have to like stick with like certain naming conventions, like lowercase, uppercase, using dashes, using something in the type, using something in the group, and so on and so forth. If you follow everything, the code I supply you will work for you.
Okay. Okay.
You have seen the code.
Yes. Follow the rules. Got it.
Yep. Now, before I leave this page, okay, I want you to like look closely at the definition. This is important because I'm going to argue, okay, why we don't want regions.
Okay.
I'm showing you the page data definition, okay? And I'm looking at the last part of it, the site configuration and page configuration. Can you see that? Do I need to pump up the size?
No, I see it.
Okay. Now, look at this part.
Okay.
Restrict to groups. Meaning this group of choosers are visible by administrators only.
Right. Right.
Other people can't see them.
That's a good point. You can't do that with regions.
Exactly. And you can fine tune, for example, this part. The group is visible to two groups. But down here, this is administrators only.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So the group is visible to two groups, okay? I'm talking about the data definition group is visible to two people groups.
Right.
But the first field, okay, is visible to administrators only.
Right. You have to choose with regions either to hide them all or show them all.
It's very hard to hide them. You try it.
Well, by not giving someone access to
Oh, sure. Then they can't access the regions at all.
Right, right.
But then you cannot fine tune them.
Right.
But here, you remember, first you can group them any way you want.
Right.
You can label them any way you want.
Interesting.
You can ID them any way you want.
Yeah, that makes sense because like sometimes you may want to allow a user to attach JavaScript
Yep.
to a page, but not anything else.
Exactly. Block choosers allow you to do that,
Or
not
CSS.
regions.
Right. Okay.
So this is one major reason why you don't want to deal with regions. But you already know another reason. When you use web services, okay, to deal with a page, you know what regions can cause and what problems they cause, right? At the page level, if you attach a format, a block to a page, okay?
Oh, right.
When you switch content type,
Right.
they'll be lost.
Right. The whole.
But when you switch content type, okay, which are associated with the same data definition, everything will be kept.
Interesting.
You
That's
don't need to do anything.
that's a compelling reason. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why you want to design your data definition as rich as you can, so that when you move from one design to another design, maybe you are adding fields, but you shouldn't remove fields.
Right. Okay.
And you shouldn't change any IDs.
Right. Obviously, yeah. Right.
Then everything will be carried over.
Right. Interesting. Okay, that's compelling.
Yep.
Very compelling.
Yep. So you want to like design your data definition carefully for the page, so that when you like do like a redesign, whatnot, using web services, it will save you a lot of headaches if you do it carefully.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's I can see that. Yeah.
Well, you have to know enough web services to appreciate what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, if you like talk to like people who don't use web services at all, they will ask, okay, what's the point?
Right. Or who don't do redesigns or by switching content types.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Okay. Now I want to combine two things, okay? Then you will understand how to like move a slideshow, okay, up and down from the top to the bottom, and so on and so forth. First, you remember the high show?
Yes.
Okay, now you can use, okay, a setting, for example, a pair of radio buttons, okay? The radio buttons are associated with the high whatever, the whatever part.
Okay.
as the identifier, okay, of the radio button. When you select a radio button, okay, then that value will be turned into hide that value.
Oh, okay.
Of course, okay, in your template or whatever, you have to have show that value.
Okay.
For example, a moment ago, I used, okay, top inner, top outer, bottom inner, bottom outer, bottom outmost, and so on and so forth. The same mechanism. You basically turn that string or turn the string of the radio button into high whatever.
Gotcha.
And in your template, there must be a show whatever corresponding to it. Then the thing will be moved.
Oh, so in other words, the template has to default to show.
So let me show you
Okay.
the template format. Then you'll see, well, basically the whole picture.
I'm always jumping ahead.
So I am using these to do the high show.
Okay.
As long as in the source, you have high, top, outer. And in the target, okay, for example, in the template, one region, you have show, top, outer, okay, then everything will work. So look at this template, okay. I have show menu bar, show title. Where's show top? It should be the first element right here.
Okay.
So you define all these like top outer, bottom outer, bottom outmost, and so on and so forth.
Oh, okay.
It will work. So for example, this is where is right here, bottom outmost.
Oh, okay. So what? Okay. So tell me again. How does it get replaced?
In the source, you have hide bottom outmost. It can be like from a radio button, or
Okay.
it can be from an XML block.
Okay.
You just create a div called hide dash bottom dash outmost.
Okay.
In the template, you have the target div ID equal show bottom outmost.
Right.
So you have a source, you have a target.
Right.
And then the format will move whatever content with that ID from high to show.
Oh, okay. Okay. So this allows you to
Move things around to create double quote regions.
double quote regions.
Quote, quote unquote.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So you don't really have regions, but you can create exactly the same effect of a region by moving things around.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty cool. Interesting. So it's kind of a dynamic regions.
Everything is dynamic now.
Yeah. 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 Maybe that's
Okay.
how we can distinguish the two. You have static regions and dynamic regions.
Mhm. Actually, this is the mechanism I use to do site configuration. Okay, let me just
You're talking about how the banner was green on one site,
exactly.
but white on another? Okay.
Exactly. Let me show you a page again, okay? This is the old, I need to put up something new.
That smells
Remember we saw site configuration here?
good. Right.
I plug in 4 blocks. This is only visible to administrators. And actually, I can hide it from everybody by assigning, you know that, okay? If you assign a name to that restricts to groups, okay? If that name is not a valid group name, then this field will be hidden from everybody, including administrators.
Right. Right. Right.
So you can do that. I normally do like assign it to Wing because Wing doesn't exist. Then it will be hidden from everybody, including myself.
Why would you want to hide a group from
Well,
everyone?
this is site configuration.
Yeah.
Once it's done, it's done. You don't need to do anything here.
Okay. Okay.
I am still like developing this, so that I want to show it to myself. But when I'm done, I will hide it from everybody, including myself. So no one can touch this part.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm plugging in blocks and I process the blocks in here in this area. Okay. I call it area now, not region.
Okay.
It's called storage.
Okay.
And then later on, I use the high show mechanism to move things around. This site storage actually creates a menu. the left menu, the right column, the logo, the header, the site title, everything is created here.
Huh.
And then later on, I'll just like move them around, including the theme. Once you set up, okay, using these 4 blocks, you move this page to another site. These 4 blocks are still attached to the page, but they'll read different things. Theme will be different, logo will be different, site title will be different. Then you change everything.
Oh, okay.
This is called site configuration.
Oh, okay. That's neat. Okay, I get that now.
Remember, I do it at the page level, but because I only have one page asset.
Right.
You follow?
Oh,
That page asset is in common assets. It's right here.
One page asset.
This is the page.
Oh,
All the asset families, okay, used to create pages are hooked up with this single page, and this page is already configured.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then when you like create a new page, those 4 blocks are already attached to those four block choosers.
Gotcha. Okay.
You don't need to configure anything. Hide them all together. So when it's configured, I hide them. No one can see them, not even myself. No one can change anything. But when you move a page from site to site, it will change its nature like a chameleon. Whatever.
Yeah. And so this allows you to have control over the layouts of your pages.
Yep.
And you don't have to. You reduce the amount of maintenance in terms of asset factories. You don't have to.
That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Big assets for every configuration. I see. That's kind of neat.
Yep. Well, remember, that's the less is more part, okay? If you only have one page base asset and you configure it, okay, so that it will automatically read the site information, then it will adapt to any site.
Okay.
As long as you do it like carefully.
Right. Gotcha.
Well, that's actually the topic of my first presentation back in like 2013.
Oh, which one?
2013 block choosers.
Oh, okay. Was that what it was called? I don't remember it.
Block choosers.
Oh, right.
XSLT, metadata set, something like that. A long title.
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
That's what I talked about.
Okay. So you've been doing this for a while.
For a few years, yes.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm like piecing everything together, fitting everything together to form the real picture.
Gotcha. Okay.
I got the last piece from Velocity, basically.
Gotcha. The evaluate.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Do we need a break, or do we should we stop here? It's much longer than I expected.
Yeah. Do you want to take a lunch break and
Sure.
reconvene around?
We have basically finished the number 9.
Okay.
Well, we still have a long way to go.
Why don't we reconvene at 2:00?
Sure.
Okay.
Then we can have a break.
All right. Thanks, Wing.
Oh, thank you.
All right. I'll set up another hangout.